John Roberts, thank you very much. Let's bring it out now and get Bernie McGuirk's thoughts on all of this.
Look, to me, it's a joke. It's a non-story. It's a leak. You know, you have more FBI corruption and bias about to be exposed. You have Trump killing it over in Davos. And then they say, listen, let's hand the New York Times some talking points. New York Times and, of course, CNN and MSN, the rest of them dutifully take their cue and they obsess over this while we have these other revelations coming out. A non-story. Again, this Mueller guy, it's just a desperate, it's an investigation in a desperate search for a crime is what it is. And it's tainted, it's corrupt, the whole thing.
Does it matter at all, Kennedy, that there is reporting in a trail that there were discussions with Rosenstein and others about whether or not this was an option?
I think it does matter. And I think there are different things here, and you have to be able to pull apart what's happening in this presidency, because there are phenomenal successes, and they will continue to flourish as the president's economic agenda really takes hold. And that's one thing, that's something he can sell in Davos. The other thing is he's a political novice and at sometimes is also a victim of his own flights of fancy. And he does things like, you know, what he did in the Comey memo with Rosenstein was he laid out all the reasons that James Comey should have been fired. I think he was trying to do the same thing with Mueller. The problem is there's a very different threshold for firing those two individuals. And because of his noviceness, he didn't realize how serious it would be if he tried to unseat Mueller.
I totally agree with what you just said. Yeah, and I'm nodding because the three reasons that were cited in there that he was looking at that he felt like Mueller should be fired over or whatever it was. Interesting, the one about his, he hadn't paid his fees at the club, or, you know, there was like some dispute over fees at a golf club.
Yeah.
So he had resigned his membership there as one thing. I mean, if you tie this together with what I heard Congressman Peter King tell you this morning, where he said when we do finally see that memo about how this investigation started, we would be appalled that there wasn't a reason to start it in the first place, and that is really going to be something that is, you know, sort of, if we ever do get to see that memo, is going to shock a lot of people. I could imagine that if that's true, then the frustration over the investigation would make him feel like he wants to fire this guy. Like, this whole thing is very frustrating.
If we see the origin, what you're saying is that some of this may fall into place.
In terms of his level of frustration and why he would be saying, I want to fire this guy, this investigation is nonsense.
Well,
I can just...
It's consistent with an innocent man wanting to do this. And by the way, it's a non-story because he didn't fire him. That's the point.